How did it happen that this seemingly ordinary 14-year-old girl who is into anime and makes videos on TikTok cold-bloodedly killed her own sister with her hands? So sit down, dear, because it is frightening. Well, the girl in the photo is Clare Miller, born on the 11th of that same 2007 in the family of Mark and Mari Miller, their second child. The older sister of Clare, not named Helen, was born back in 2002, unfortunately with physical disabilities diagnosed as cerebral palsy. I guess most of you essentially heard about this disease, and not all understand what this very palsy entails. Parkinson's disease is a group of nervous system disorders that impair movements, balance, and body position. People with similar diagnosis require special attention, as they often can't perform even basic tasks on their own. When you plant a child at last, you think that the same year makes this in big fluffy arms happy flower. This is always about others, right? The Millers weren't excluded. For them, it was a real shock. When Mari was pregnant, they often heard from Marco's friends something in the style of, "Prepare for sleepless nights and resistance to diapers." With little Helen, there were these and many other things, which were just the tip of the iceberg. While her peers were already playing soccer, the girl couldn't even go to the toilet herself. And in spite of all the difficulties, the Millers didn't drop their hands and gave Helen everything that was in their power to make her grow up happy and, as far as possible, a healthy child. In about 4 years, they decided to have another child, a girl who, as you already know, was named Clare. In the words of her fathers, Clare grew up in love and never suffered from a lack of attention. Clare always had a loving environment from her side and her older sister's side, with whom she always maintained friendly relations. Yet despite the doting nature of her health-conscious mother Helen, Clare often didn't receive the kind of attention she herself wanted. She often felt like second fiddle in a family where the primary care was always given to Helen. Well, at least Clare could freely run around with friends and enjoy time in the street, while Helen couldn't even hold a glass of water steady so as not to spill it. Naturally, the parents spent more time with her since she really needed the attention and wasn't as independent as her sister. The Millers deeply loved their children, Helen and Clare. This was said by the girls themselves and by the family's friends alike. Although Helen received more attention and resources, the parents did not neglect Clare. In her was everything: techniques, clothing, entertainment, college money put out, and education at a prestigious private school, the Lancaster County Day School. She lived a quiet, sheltered life, with all its privileges and shortcomings, apparently. Naturally, it was frustrating to go to school when a new episode of her favorite anime came out. If you love him, obviously you'd spend a fortune. Comment if that's the case or not. You know, comments help the video to trend. Clare Miller loved, and even very much. In principle, at her age of 14, her main occupation was not so much studying as uninterrupted viewing of Japanese animation. On the other spot was a fixation on social networks, and on the third, content creation. Clare had her own YouTube channel with vlogs and stuff. In addition, she filmed short videos on TikTok. Not very sophisticated, but nobody's perfect. Clare had just a few followers. By the day before that night that would forever change her family, she already had almost 20,000 followers. Thus, the average indicator of views of one TikTok spun around 100,000 views. Most of the videos were allusions to smiling anime characters or just simple, as they say, dances. But besides that, there were also those that stood out from the others for their darkness. These videos at least suggest that Clare was fascinated with, if not actually depressive, romanticizing death. You know, it's just odd all around. And ironically, the girl became popular not for her TikToks, but for the act that virtually went on trial for an alleged fraudulent engagement, or perhaps even murder, against hundreds of her peers. Right up until nightfall, it was an exceedingly ordinary day for the Miller family. Morning lessons for kids, father to work, evening tasks, then rest. At the end of the day, as always, they all retired to their rooms and slept. Everyone but Clare. Not minding the noise, the little girl quietly descended to the first floor. She went into the kitchen and took the rubber gloves her mother usually uses for washing dishes. Pulling them onto her innocent hands, she grabbed a large kitchen knife and turned upwards. Heading to her sister's room, Claire almost silently opened the door and entered inside. Approaching Helen's crumpled body, she unhesitatingly and relentlessly plunged her kitchen knife into her. Everything happened fast, the first blow followed by another and another and another. Claire only stopped when Helen ceased breathing and showing any signs of life. Only then she finally calmed down and for a while just quietly watched as the life that filled her sister slowly drained away. A few seconds later, Claire relaxed her hands and calmly left the room. She quietly descended and exited through the door. An hour later of observation revealed that Claire was slowly walking on the street, using the fallen snow from the previous day to track the blood. The investigator was surprised that the girl didn't think to wash her hands under running water in the middle of the building. I presume she didn't want to wake her parents up with the noise of water, who were sleeping peacefully, not even suspecting that they will never see their firstborn daughter alive again. Nonetheless, Claire kept standing in the yard, wiping her hands on the snow. No one in the world knew she had died. Only a few minutes later, she called the police herself and cold-bloodedly reported that she had killed her own sister. The cops arrived at the Miller house within minutes, and what they saw shocked even the experienced officers. The car headlights illuminated the statue of a young girl who was completely covered in blood from head to toe. There was so much of it that it was dripping from her closed-off robes. When the police approached her, she only said one thing: "I killed my sister." From the noise on the street, the kids woke up and ran out of the house, but they couldn't understand what was happening. Then one of the police officers entered Helen's room. He saw a horrifying scene. There was still a kitchen knife sticking out of his throat. The man tried to save the girl's life, but he stood no chance. She was already dead. Despite the fact that Claire outright claimed she had killed her sister, nobody believed her. Not the cops, not even her parents. According to the first version, someone broke into the house and killed Helen. But Claire had confronted the intruder and tried only to defend her sister. She was covered in her blood. And soon everyone realized that the young TikToker speaks the truth. The evidence was indisputable. For Mr. and Mrs. Miller, it was a devastating blow. One of their daughters was found dead with a knife in her throat in the living room, while the other was arrested beneath the blue-red lights before the eyes of the entire street for the murder of her sister. According to Pennsylvania state law in the United States of America, any homicide is automatically considered a first-degree felony. Thus, the defendant can appeal for a jury trial. This is exactly what all forthcoming court proceedings hinged upon for Claire. It needed to be determined whether to charge her with a premeditated murder or as an adult. In the former case, theoretically, she could even avoid punishment or be sentenced to home arrest. In the latter, she faces a lifetime or possibly even death sentence. As you recall, the events took place on the night of February 21 to 22, 2021. However, the court has not yet decided on Claire's case as the investigation is ongoing. Literally recently, in March 2023, new details of this case were released. Having survived thousands of text messages that Claire sent to her friends, the prosecution found dozens in which she openly expressed a desire to inflict physical harm. Perhaps such an easy prey as her inappropriate sister was too tempting for her. Alas, Helen could hardly defend herself due to her health condition. Another fact that may not seem like enough proof, but characterizes Claire as a cold-blooded, remorseless person, is her comment about her. One witness for Claire was Mangum's city police officer, John Martin. When he brought the girl food from McDonald's to the hearing, she said, "Oh, McDonald's, I would have killed someone earlier if I had known I was being rewarded with McDonald's." Considering the context that she indeed killed a person, sounds quite creepy. Besides, there's a version that the murder was done purely because of sibling rivalry, which Claire, in one way or another, had to compete with her sister. At this point, evidence could neither be confirmed nor challenged. Despite all the evidence and absence of a clear motive for the murder, Claire's parents are firmly defending their now only daughter. They have provided excuses, maybe just to help ease their own guilt. In court, Claire's mother declared, "I know Claire didn't mean to do this. We've lost Helen, and we don't want to lose another daughter. We don't want her to be punished for not seeking help, but simply to be aware for a long time that it was beyond her control. We can't afford to lose her too. The Millers' family defense relies on the testimonies of several psychiatrists who claimed in court that Clare was suffering from psychosis, depression, and anxiety. In fact, in private conversations, she told psychiatrists she heard some strange voices in her head, which convinced her to kill her sister, Helen. Also in Clare's testimony, the character of Michael Myers, the main villain of the Halloween series, repeatedly appeared. According to the plot, as a child, he murdered his own sister. Clare said that Myers supposedly showed her the sister. What this doesn't mean. In court, the girl said these words exactly at the moment when her phone rang, with a thematic ringtone from the movie. Prosecutors are not known for their enthusiastic approach, possibly a missed opportunity for this film company. They argue that Clare's text messages show an intention to cause harm to others, which is why they consider her a threat to the community. Well, I agree with them, to be honest. It's not very pleasant to walk down the street with people who could just randomly beat up their own sister for no reason. What do you think about this? Share your thoughts in the comments. Indeed, after the police published Clare's photo and local media wrote a few articles about her, subscribers began to recognize her on TikTok and uncover several of her videos. Literally, within a couple of days, there were hundreds of similar TikToks. You never know, any day could turn out like this. Clare's subscribers nearly doubled in a single day after that incident. Children never engage in such behavior. Subscribers and popularity aren't worth it. You're risking your life and others. What's worse, not long after this incident, TikTok deleted Clare's page because she broke their rules, which no one seems to read when registering, obviously. Whether it's a happy moment or a sad one, the internet remembers everything. Thankfully, there were people who had saved the full record of Clare's page. Because of those records, we can try to delve into this seemingly cold-blooded killer girl, motives of which remain confusing and uncertain. Have you ever wondered who or what is beyond that smiling face on the screen? Perhaps it's time. Thank you for watching this video up to this point. I deeply appreciate it. Those of you who are still here, still with me, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet. Do not forget to drop your videos on TikTok. A huge shout out to those who financially support the channel. Speaking of which, YouTube sponsorship starts at just 10 hryvnias per month. It was Alexander and Sanya without a beanie till the fall. We will meet again in the next video. Until then, check out this for this. They're cool too. See ya.